Hello, and you're welcome to Global Business Insights, where we go a little deeper into the main business headlines from all over the world. The UK's Serious Fraud Office is set to announce charges against former employees of Glencore as soon as next month, 2 years after the company pleaded guilty to bribery offences in Nigeria, Cameroun, and Ivory Coast. Meanwhile, Glencore says it is keen on the Nigerian mining sector. And Adidas is investigating allegations of embezzlement and kickbacks in China. Just in, the New York Empire State Manufacturing Index increased to -6 in June 2024 from -15.6 in May, beating forecasts of -9. It is the highest reading in 4 months, although it still pointed to a moderate decline in business activity in the New York state. Some good news from the release, however. Despite current activity remaining weak, optimism about the 6-month outlook picked up to its highest level in more than 2 years. Beijing has opened an anti-dumping investigation into EU pork imports, escalating trade tensions few days after Brussels said it would impose tariffs on electric vehicle shipments from China. China's Ministry of Commerce said the investigation, which the European agricultural industry said would hit farmers in Spain, the Netherlands, Denmark, Germany, and Belgium the hardest, would focus on EU pork imports in 2023 and last up to a year, though it could be extended by 6 months. By launching this probe, Beijing is hoping to pressure individual European governments to force the European Commission to scrap the EV electric vehicle tariffs before they are confirmed by July 4. US stock indexes opened flat to lower as investors awaited fresh economic data and digested a slew of comments from Federal Reserve officials throughout the week for more clarity on monetary policy. Talking of Federal Reserve officials, Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari on Sunday said that it is a reasonable prediction that the central bank will wait until December to cut interest rates. He added that the Fed is in a very good position to wait for more data before taking any decisions. Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester also noted on Friday that she would like to see good-looking inflation data, adding that the path towards the Fed's 2% inflation goal may take longer than expected. The big business story this week could be the United Kingdom CPI, that's inflation for May, coming out this Wednesday, followed by the Bank of England Monetary Policy Committee decision the next day. Will the Bank of England follow the example of the ECB to cut rates, noting it's just 1 month to elections? Analysts see the BOE holding interest rates at a 16-year high of 5.25% when the MPC meets on Thursday, but they will be closely watching for updates on forward guidance. European Central Bank Chief Economist Philip Lane said today in a speech that they still see significant wage increases in some Eurozone countries, adding that they need to see domestic services inflation momentum come down. He also said in interpreting the monthly data, they need to differentiate between the noise and signals. Adidas shares sank 4% after the German sportswear brand said it was investigating allegations of corruption in China after receiving an anonymous letter involving embezzlement and kickbacks. Adidas said allegations of compliance violations are taken very seriously but could not provide further information until its investigation is completed. UBS says it will pay former Credit Suisse clients 90% of funds they invested with collapsed specialist finance firm Greensill Capital. UBS said this morning that the offer would be open until the end of July and that it would provision $900 million in the second quarter of the year linked to the offer, adding that this would have no material impact on its financial results or capital requirements. A European Commission filing showed today that US grains merchant Bunge and a Glencore-backed Viterra's plan to create a $34 billion agricultural trading plant will be decided by the European Union antitrust regulators by July 18. A year ago, their companies announced a merger which could rival global giants Archer Daniels Midland and Cargill. The Commission can either okay the deal with or without remedies after its preliminary review, or it can open a 4-month investigation if it has serious concerns. And still on Glencore, on Friday, that's June 14, the UK's Serious Fraud Office sought the UK Attorney General's consent to bring charges against yet unnamed former employees of Glencore, allegedly involved in bribery offences to which Glencore had already pleaded guilty. That was 2 years ago. A decision to prosecute would be made by July 31st. To get some background, Glencore was ordered to pay £276.4 million by a London judge for running a bribery and corruption network to secure favourable access to oil across Africa. Glencore's unit pleaded guilty in late 2022 to 7 counts of bribery between 2011 and 2016 in relation to $26.9 million in payments to officials in Nigeria, Cameroun and Ivory Coast. Glencore also pleaded guilty to related charges in the US and agreed to pay roughly $1.1 billion to US authorities and $40 million to Brazilian prosecutors. For a company that earned $217 billion in its latest report, these fines, less than 2% of earnings, are a little extra cost of doing business. In February 2022, the Serious Fraud Office announced Nigeria would be paid just over £200,000 out of a settlement it had agreed with engineering company Amek Foster Wheeler to pay the country back for tax revenue it was deprived of as a result of bribes paid to officials. But with Glencore, a London judge refused a request from Nigeria seeking compensation for bribery offences, saying the government of Nigeria had no legal standing to seek compensation for offences committed, meaning it would have to use other avenues. And so it did. But last week, a non-governmental organization demanded that the Nigerian federal government should publish details of findings and investigations leading to a $50 million settlement with Glencore International as penalty and compensation. Indeed, 2 of the 7 counts that Glencore pleaded guilty to concerned bribes paid to Nigerian officials at the country's National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. In April this year, an undaunted Glencore was reported to have met with officials of the Ministry of Minerals in Nigeria. The ministry is anxious to woo major players into the undeveloped mining sector. Glencore said it will invest in Nigeria's mining sector and will be looking at opportunities to invest with emphasis on nickel, cobalt, zinc, amongst others. Why is all this important? Glencore's misadventures with NNPC are about to play again in the UK courts as Glencore pushes to play in Nigeria's mining space. The case in the UK in the next few months will most likely name specific Nigerians who facilitated the bribery and received funds. The role NNPC and others played between 2011 and 2016 will be rehashed in the courts, and Nigerians will be told Glencore has already cleared itself and cannot be tried twice in Nigeria for the same offense. It is imperative that full details of the settlement and findings of investigations by the Nigerian Ministry of Justice should be made public. The view of Emerging Value Insight is that corruption thrives on weak, opaque processes and inadequate controls, and the pretense to transparency with important crude oil sales transactions and sale of oil blocks remains a concern. The $50 million settlement is not remotely punitive, nor is it a serious deterrent. Still on the mining sector, global audit, tax and business advisory firm KPMG has stated that to fully attract foreign direct investment into Nigeria's over 44 solid minerals scattered in over 500 locations nationwide, the country through its agencies must sign up for relevant international mining organizations. In its June report, KPMG stated that based on its mineral wealth, Nigeria should naturally be a preferred mining destination for many multinationals, but it also needs to be seen as a destination with high ethical standards. Tesla has sued its former supplier Matthews International in the federal court for allegedly stealing trade secrets related to Tesla's battery manufacturing process and sharing them with electric vehicle giants' competitors. The lawsuit filed today alleges that Matthews owes damages that Tesla conservatively estimates will exceed $1 billion for misusing company trade secrets related to dry electrode battery manufacturing technology. Oil prices are in positive territory at the start of this week, perhaps in response to uptick in fuel demand over the summer. Brent crude, as we speak, is $83.23, up 0.74%. French indexes were coming back into positive territory as we saw European markets mostly mixed. Also, as investors looked ahead to the latest interest rate decision from the Bank of England. European stocks shows Stocks Europe 600 up 0.09%, FTSE 250 up 0.2%, UK's FTSE 100 down 0.06%, the German DAX up 0.37%, the CAC 40, that's the French index, is positive, closed positive 0.91%. In the US, the market seemed to be awaiting further direction from the data. Tomorrow we get US retail sales data. Wall Street kicked off a holiday shortened trading week with markets closed on Wednesday for the Juneteenth National Independence Day holiday. Nasdaq is positive up 0.2%, Dow positive 0.09%, S&P also positive 0.25%. Most of the day the markets were looking, however, mixed. Well, that's it from me on Global Business Insights. This is Bode Oshosami. Thanks for sharing and following or subscribing on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube and X. Please send your comments. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.